All of our members are not present this evening, so we have a meeting of the zoning board of appeals. It's August 22, 2024, 6 p.m. Jessica, would you call the roll of members?
Sure. Member Murphy. Member Rahman. Member Shabazz.
Here.
Member Schultz.
Here.
Member Moran.
Here.
Member Petter.
Here.
Chairman Blackout.
Here. Note for the record that we just learned that Mr. Murphy's wife has passed away, so that's undoubtedly why he's not present. And I'll indicate that there is no public comment to be heard this evening. We have no minutes to approve, and so I'll go to the public hearing, which is the first case on the agenda. It's a Bloomingdale Township petition. This is 24054 005 Route 53 LLC. We have a request for zoning, rezone the subject property from R4 single family residence to B2 general business for a contracting office with a contractor outside storage yard. The matter was published in the Daily Herald on August 7, 2024. It's about 1.32 acres. I have no comments of any substance or objections from any of the departments of the county to whom we've circulated the petition. We do have information from the stormwater department, which we should make available to the petitioner. And then Bloomingdale Fire Department has sent some information for the petitioner regarding sprinkler systems, etc., since the property is serviced by well and sewer. I'll indicate before we begin that so far we've admitted petitioner's exhibit number 1, which is a site plan. Now I'll call on the attorney for the petitioner and any witnesses. How many witnesses do you have?
All right, just real quick, don't mind, I'll stand up over here so I don't talk to everybody's back.
Witnesses?
We just, there's one witness present, he may or may not talk, but Mark Tomer, the engineer.
Would you be sworn in just in case?
Sure.
You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, just before you begin, let me observe that just prior to the hearing commencing, I indicated that this is published in such a way as to indicate, to give the impression that we have a conditional use for a PUD indicating a contractor's office with a contractor outside storage yard. However, there is no PUD here that's been published. So any information about the potential use of the property is really immaterial, because if the request for rezoning to B2 general business district is granted, then there is an unlimited use to the property for any permitted use that is prescribed within the B2 district. So the petitioner is not submitting a site plan in that regard, but he has submitted a survey, and then there's a packet of materials. I don't know what's quite in the materials, but there are 11 pages, which we'll take as petitioner's group exhibit number 2. All right, identify yourself again, sir, and please proceed.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members. My name is Richard Gerard. I'm an attorney that offices in Wheaton, 310 South County Farm Road. I'm here representing the owner of the property and the petitioner. And as the chairman has stated, we're requesting a rezoning from the county R4 to business B2. And we're looking to use it as a permitted use. And we're not seeking any variances, and it's not part of a PUD. So as the chairman has said, I'll make my presentation brief, and that what I'm going to limit it to is the criteria under the county zoning for a rezoning. And basically what I've passed out is a narrative to explain a little more and have a few of the pictures or exhibits as to why it complies with the criteria. So as stated, it's currently zoned R4 in the county. The property is located roughly east of Route 355. It's north of North Avenue. And it is on Route 53. There is an exhibit on page 7 that shows roughly the entire, not roughly, it shows the entire area as a Google area. And then you can see that it's located near Lloyd Avenue where the property itself is physically located. The property is going to have access to Route 53. That's where the access will come from. So to go over quickly the criteria, the first criteria is to talk about the existing uses of the property within the general area. And the property to the north is zoned in County R4, and there is a house on it and then vacant property to the rest of the border. On the east of the property is bordered by Route 53. Everything east is in the village of Addison and is M2 with some other industrial afterwards, so manufacturing and industrial. The south of it is directly south is in the village of Addison, M2 manufacturing, where there's an office and storage. And then to the west, the west is county zoning residential R4. The property directly to the west is vacant. South of that are some residences. And then on Route 53, as you go south, then there's business on the Route 53 zoned business. And then there's some zoning residential behind it on the property. And then you can see on page 2 are copies of the zoning maps from cutouts from the county and from village of Addison. The green that's indicated on it is this property. So you can see that the R4 zoning to the north of the county, and you can see that on the village of Addison zoning where it's purple and B2, that's business and manufacturing. The category B or criteria B is the zoning classification of the property within the general area. That's what I just went over and talked about. Some of these related, the suitability of the property for the uses permitted under the zoning classification. While seeking B2, the plan is to use it for his business of US lighting as an electrical contractor. It's to use it for his offices, for parking of vehicles and some outside storage. And you can see on the site plan that it shows 10 parking places in the back and a 2,400 square foot office that he would plan to continue to operate his business in. On the question of it being suitable for this use, the plan is it's complying with all the setback requirements from commercial against commercial and against residential. On the on the west portion of that property near Lloyd Avenue, there's a large setback, then there's a berm there, and there'll be an 8-foot solid fence on the berm. And there'll be no access from the property to that side, to the west, excuse me. The access will only be off of Route 53. The trend of development, if any, in the surrounding property. And if we go to page 7, you can see it's pretty obvious surrounding the property that west of this is 355. Once you get north of Fulton Avenue and across the street from 53, and then south of the property, it's all residential. It's all manufacturing and commercial. There's hundreds of commercial and manufacturing buildings in that area. It's clearly that type of use. And if you look at this, pages 8, 9, and 10 are aerial photographs from years all the way back to 1993. And basically the property has been like this for at least 30 years. And it's been used the way it is for closer to 50 years in the property. And there hasn't been any development really of the property around it even in the last 30 years. So the predominant use of the whole surrounding area is manufacturing and commercial. That's where it's headed to. It is, of course, the residential to the west that is that exists there. And even though the property directly to the west is all vacant, it does have R4 zoning county. So the position would be that it is suitable for that use. Like I said, the last criteria, well, not the last, that we talked about the trend of development. It's clearly manufacturing business in that area. It's zoned on two sides of the property, manufacturing by the village of Addison, both on the east and on the south. The length of property that's been, the next criteria, length of time property has been vacant as zoned, considering the context of the land development and the area and the surrounding property. Well, it's been vacant this way for 50 years. And it's over an acre size. There's no likelihood or possibility of it being developed as a residential home or piece of property. This goes to the extent of the next criteria, they're related and similar, the extent to which the property values or this property value is diminished by a particular zoning restriction. The property it would be greatly diminished because it's an R4 zoning. It's on a truck route. It's extremely noisy. It's extremely busy on Route 53. It's not an appropriate use to build a residential home on that property. It might have been 30 years ago or 50 years ago on Route 53, but today it is not. That's not an appropriate use. So you have a property that's not developing a tax base, it's not developing jobs, it's not developing, period. And it's time for something to happen to the property. So, yeah, it is suitable, it is vacant, and it is diminished values based on the use. And then finally, you would say, when they develop it, he's going to be complying with all of the ordinances, permits, county reviews, stormwater, everything. So he's not going to be doing anything, as the chairman has pointed out, this is the zoning. This is not the approval of a specific building or use or whatever. Those are still the permitting process that the owner will have to go through and the reviews to get that to happen. So having said that, I think I've said my piece and I'd be happy to answer any questions. I said the project engineer, Mark Toberman, is here. He'd be also happy to answer any questions you might have. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. With respect to suitability, there's a house on the property currently.
No, it's completely vacant. The house that you see there is really an office and it's to the south of the property. There is a house to the very north on Route 53, but neither of those are on this parcel property.
Well, the survey that you give us shows a garage and frame residence.
Well, the survey then is including additional property, not.
So, oh, I see. So the survey you gave us shows the property, two adjacent lots.
Yes,
And your survey, it intends to show only the parcel that's outlined in red.
correct.
So it's entirely vacant.
Yes, exactly.
And your testimony is it's been vacant for 50 years?
My client has said that. I'm not sure. I can tell from the aerials that I've produced that since 1993, I know it's been vacant.
Okay.
That's how far back I went. So I can say the last 30 years.
Has it been marketed?
I don't have that information. I know it's not currently marketed. I believe it was marketed and my client purchased it when it was being marketed.
When
But
did your
it,
client purchase it?
but it's not being marketed now. I purchased several years ago.
And with respect to trended development, have there been any residential properties built in the residential area behind this property?
Not that I can tell from the aerials. There's been no development of new homes, probably. I mean, I'm sure there's some homeowners who would know, but next door to these properties, as far as I know, they've been there a while. But I won't, there are people here that would know.
And then with respect to the value, the question I have is whether it impacts the value on adjacent properties, not that it'll increase the value to this property.
And my response to that would be that it does not, because of the way that the property is going to be developed. It's going to comply with the county landscaping ordinances, which are heavy when it's a commercial against the residential zoning, even though the property directly behind this property is vacant. But still, it's zoned residential R4. So we will be putting a berm. First, I think it's a 40-foot setback. Then there's going to be a berm on top of the setback with detention in the back. Then there's going to be an 8-foot solid fence on top of that, and there'll be no access. So we are buffering from any residential use, and it shouldn't have a significant impact. And finally, we're not having any traffic through there. There's going to be no access at all, even possible with the berm and everything we're building to that
Except if
property.
you open a grocery store,
Pardon now?
except if you open a grocery store.
Well, that will still have to comply with all of those buffering and all of the landscaping requirements and everything else in the county. If that was to happen, I mean, we know what we want to do, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, if this was brought as conditional use for a PUD, we could impose those restrictions and have that comfort. Okay, well, it seems to me generally that the commercial industrial is on one side of Route 53, which is, as you say, a significant buffer to the neighborhoods. And then there's principally residential on the other side of 53. You said to the north, there's a house. To the east, we've already discussed. To the west is residential. And I can't tell from this aerial.
I think if you go to,
What's on the south?
there's a current aerial that might be a better, if you go to page 5 of that,
This?
yes,
Exhibit?
that's a current aerial of the property. So, literally right around it. So you can see very specifically where it is. So you can see what I'm saying, that directly behind it is that treat area and vacant property. To the southwest are residences there.
What's on this property right now?
What you see, basically, that gravelled area.
Your page 5 doesn't delineate which parcel this is. Is it the parcel at the top, at the top of the page?
Yes, it's the parcel
With the
that,
truck parking and all the
it's
rest
the
of it?
parcel that's showing the gravel and the trucks.
This,
Yes,
that's gravel?
yeah, yes.
How long has that been?
If you look at, I think since the 70s, but if you look in the aerials all the way back to 1993, it's,
No.
well, let me,
Hold on.
let me go back. Let me say only what I know instead of what I'm guessing or someone else told me. What I know is I have the aerials that I looked at from Google for the last 30 years, and it is there the entire 30 years. And it's been used for parking for various vehicles during that whole 30 years. And that's indisputable. It's the pictures. I didn't go back.
So okay, let's talk about this. Is there a red tag or violation notice on this property?
I don't know that currently.
If this is the use in a residentially zoned area,
Thank you.
and it's listed for that, and it's existed for that period of time, are you saying that's a pre-existing non-conforming use or grandfathered use?
No, I'm not saying that because we're just seeking zoning of it. There has been a red tag on the property before, I believe, for that use, and I'm not sure what's there today. I mean, obviously the Google photos are older, but we're basing our argument strictly on the criteria for rezoning as it being an appropriate use for what we want to see.
Yeah, well, I don't, we're not the red tag police. I'm just trying to understand. Are you requesting this relief to legitimize a violation notice that has occurred on the property, or?
No, but what, let me be more, can I explain the comment though?
Sure.
What we want to do is the plan that we're proceeding would conform with everything. So we're trying to conform with zoning, have zoning and conform with the ordinances and conforming with the requirements. It would not, the use of just parking vehicles on there would not be a proper conforming use, and it would be a violation of the ordinances. So what we're trying to present today is for us to be able to move forward and have a rezoning based on the actual zoning criteria in the county. You know, not seeking anything special or different. We're seeking a review under the county zoning, and then we will design a property and a project. You can see it has a parking for 10 vehicles that will comply with all the ordinances.
Okay, I'm a little concerned about your arguments about value on surrounding properties. You haven't had any, you don't have any traffic studies or appraisal reports, right?
No, and we haven't done a traffic study because we're not going to have any traffic. The traffic will be zero. So the traffic was on Route 53, which is already a heavy truck route, you know.
Again, if we rezone this without limitations, there could be significant impact on values of surrounding property and traffic.
Just in case I don't hear.
Okay, I understand. Let me just, is there anybody on the board that wants to ask any follow-up questions to clarify what the petition?
I just have one question, and maybe I'm wrong with this, but I think when you get to the suitability of the property, it's the property that's there, the way it's zoned. Why is that not suitable? Do you have proof other than you just say it's your opinion that traffic on 53 would make it unsuitable?
It's zoned R4.
Or,
So that-
excuse me, it's residential, right?
It's
And you
residential.
want to go to business.
Yeah, and I'm saying that the current use isn't suitable. You know, it's not suitable for
I
residential.
know you said that. I'm saying, what is your proof? Because you have to show, it was put for sale. How was it when it was sold? What was it sold at? Residential?
I don't know what it was.
Well, that would
sold
seem to
at.
be the first thing. If it was listed as residential, sold as residential, then the arguments about 50 years and everything go out the window. It was bought as a residential piece of property. Now, what's the proof to show it's not suitable as residential?
Well, it's zoned residential, so it would have been bought that way. Nobody could have represented.
This is, I asked the same points. The issue is, sometimes residential property has a big sign that says for sale, suitable for commercial development. Then somebody buys the property thinking that it's suitable for commercial development and comes in and makes the arguments to us that it's suitable for commercial development, please rezone it. So, but the question is whether or not it is suitable for residential development under the current zoning designation. And yours, as I understood your statement before, it was, well, it must not be because it hasn't been developed.
That's certainly one of the argument, a legal argument, but another one is simply common sense that it is on Route 53 on a heavy traffic. And who would build a house on Route 53 with that heavy traffic that's developed there in the last 30 years? When you look around it, there's dozens of manufacturing and industrial buildings, and those trucks all go up and down 53. Just to the south of this, the property is M2 manufacturing in the village of Addison. So the property that borders this to the south is manufacturing. Who would build a new house next to a manufacturing M2 on Route 53 across from hundreds of manufacturing and industrial buildings? It's not developable property at residential zoning.
Just to the south, the survey that I have shows that the adjacent property to the south is a residential, and then on the next lot, there's a garage supporting the resident.
Once again, if you go to page, let's say page 5, just to take a look on that aerial, south of the gravelled area, that building that's there, that's not a residence. That is a office.
Well, your survey says there's a residence on it.
Don't know why it says that because it isn't.
It's a house. It's a house.
It's a
It's a
house.
three-bedroom
Your
house.
turn.
Been
This is-
there
I'll
since
get you guys in just a minute.
1963.
I'm sorry.
Been there since
No,
19.
let,
You're not gonna stop, are you?
let me,
You'll get your chance.
Oh,
Hang on.
okay, I'm waiting.
It just delays everything.
let me explain. He owns that property, the same owner, Fiashi. And that's his office for the
And-
building,
and you're-
so
And you're telling us that this property with the residence and the garage, the two adjacent lots immediately adjacent are zoned in Addison as M2.
that's correct. But it's not a residence, just to clarify.
Okay, it's a residence building use.
It looks like a residence. It probably used to be a residence, right? They probably did an addition to it over time and changed it all, but it's not a residence. It's, the only development in the area is manufacturing under that zoning.
Can I get some confirmation from the staff? Is that accurate that it's property immediately adjacent is M2 Addison?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. That's a pretty critical issue. Okay, if there's no other questions from the board, I'm gonna take questions from the audience. We have here's our process, folks. Each of you will be given up to 3 minutes to make a statement. You have to begin by telling us your name, spelling your name, telling us your address, and then telling us where that is in relation to this property. So if you're next door or immediately behind, just tell us that. If you're 5 miles away, that's another story. Tell us that. Then tell us whether you support or oppose the petition. And then once you get through all those preliminaries, which are the requirements, I'll start the clock on the 3 minutes. So if there's a person that represents the group, you can speak first, if there is such a person. And then others can say, add to that or whatever. So we have any lawyers or
I'd like to speak.
you want to go first? All right, you be the guinea pig then. So let's go through that again. You don't have to come up here. You can.
So I can show you where I live.
All right. No, you can just tell us. Everybody that wants to speak, please raise your hand so you can be sworn in.
Do you
And
solemnly,
they're going up and down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Everybody except this lady in the green.
Okay, would you raise your right hand
Oh, I
and be
didn't see
sworn?
that.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this cause be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, the lady in the back.
So my name is Rita Beniti Borsellino, RITA BONNICI-BORSELLINO. My address is 2N460 Lloyd Avenue. We're on unincorporated lumber, and we're directly behind
Support or oppose?
Oppose.
So just give us a little idea why.
So since whoever purchased this property prior to that, it was a fire extinguisher company. And since they purchased that property, they ripped down all the trees. They park stuff everywhere. We can see it from our house. You can see stuff up in the air that they're parking there. And I don't even know if that's legal for them to do because I know some of it's residential. So I'm not really sure what part is, but they don't take care of the property. It looks terrible. And it's not something that I would be willing to look at, even if they put up a fence, because you can still, if they're gonna park semis, which they are now, they're parking all kinds of different vehicles there. You can see them, right now we can't see them because we have all this foliage here that we cannot see these buildings back. We cannot see what they're parking back here.
How about the request for rezoning? How do you feel about that?
I oppose it. I oppose it because it's residential as far as I'm concerned. It's always been residential as far as I'm concerned, like on our side, there. It will reduce the value of our home if they do take all those trees down. It will definitely affect our property values
Okay,
and safety, I believe.
thank you. Next person?
Go ahead.
My name is Helen Belarczyk, HELEN, I live at 2 North 450 Lloyd, Lombard. I'm right in Lombard, right next door to Rita. And our neighborhood consists of 36 houses. To say that there hasn't been any growth in there in the last 50 years is a lie. Houses were built in 2011, and there's still potential. There are still vacant lots there. The gentleman who was talking about the houses on the other side, which is where, I can't remember the name of the street.
Dickens.
No, where did you come in and you?
Kenmore.
Kenmore. On that area, I think a lot of that's still residential because older people still live there and they still are keeping up with their properties. They don't want to sell it. They don't want to build on it or anything like that. So there you have two communities, two neighborhoods that only have one access in and out of that neighborhood. Armitage and,
Winthrop.
Winthrop, thank you. And that's the only way we can get in and out. Now, where our street is, it's near Dunton. So we have all of the cement trucks and the garbage trucks and all that stuff going in. And there's also a repair shop there. There are a couple turn lanes, and all those trucks use the first turn lane. And when we're trying to make a left into our neighborhood, we have come head to head with them because they use that lane instead of this lane. So we've almost had several accidents there. So that alone is a big concern of us because we already have that traffic coming in. Then you have the repair shop across the street from us. That is just seems to be a housing of a lot of semis. We have to battle with them too. Trying to get out of our neighborhood at any given time of day is pretty difficult. And I can't tell you how many accidents there have almost been. So, it's just very difficult to do that. So I would ask that you not give them the variance. Getting to that house that was sold when it was a fire extinguisher place and the gentleman bought it, it was never grandfathered in that it was residential. It was never grandfathered in that he could keep all of those things there, all of the trucks and stuff that he has there. We were here, I don't know if it was here or where we were at a meeting about that. And it was told that he was not going to be grandfathered in. So I have a big concern about that. And we still have potential growth in both areas.
Okay.
So
Thank you
so
very much. How about this
Hi.
lady next?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Jill Przanek, JILLPRUZANIEC. I've been living there for many years and I oppose what's going on. But I live directly right behind the berm, the house. I see when in the winter time, the trees are bare. All I see is trucks and garbage. Places like a junkyard. He's got another lot with trucks that he rents out spaces to, and it's a residential lot. And that is to south. And then the one where all the other trucks are, he's got like the train type of storage bins lined. I don't know what's in those bins. They're open at times. Children could probably possibly get in there if they were playing there. It's a danger. And there's cats. He has cats out there roaming around. It's disgusting. If anybody has ever gone past there, please, if you haven't, take a ride. You will be shocked at how much of a junkyard it is. And he's not complying with anything. And he doesn't care about us. He doesn't care about anything. It's really bad. And I think he's hurting our values. And if it continues and he grows and tries to make more of a junkyard, it's really gonna be bad. And I wish it was gone. We all do. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll speak. My name is Greg Belarczyk, and I need to spell that for you. BIDLARCZYK. I live at 2 North 450 Lloyd, same place as Helen is. And I'm a thumbs down, the rezoning of this.
For the same reasons as has been stated.
Well, I'm gonna add one more, concern about fashion. And I know we're not talking about what they're gonna put on the property, but that is a major concern too, that, because we're on wells and septic. The well water, that's the lifeblood of what we have to have. If they do anything up there, that's higher than us, gravity's gonna make it go downhill. And we don't want their goo, oil, or whatever might come through there into our little systems. So I got a problem with that and are concerned about that. Unless they can demonstrate that they're gonna make sure everything was clean, there have been all bursts of poison wells and things in the city just in the last couple of years. You've heard of it. And the other thing that comes to be is that after all this cleanup took place and all that stuff, we live what used to be a residential area, even along Route 53. That was supposed to be residential. It was peaceful. The quietness is gone now with all that stuff. And it'll only get worse if you do more cleanup and put more trucks in that stuff. And the concerns about the type of business is noisy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So sorry, folks. You know, it's kind of a very negative thing to say, but thumbs down. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Sir,
My name's Dan Prete, Prete. My address is 2N 450 Kenmore Street in Lombard. I live one street behind the project. What I'd like to say is this, some of his exhibits show it.
so oppose or?
Oh, I'm opposed to it. One of his exhibits shows it real well, that there's just the old fire extinguisher building, everything around it is residence. I would like to argue that that's B2. This was annexed into Addison, and there were supposed to be 7 houses built here, which were never built. So I have a problem with this with the B2. The unincorporated is actually R4. The other thing that his exhibits show perfectly is in 1993, you can see there's just a small amount of vehicles parked from, see how this parking lot is getting larger?
State out loud so we can get the record.
So
What
it's,
page you're referring to.
exhibit H shows 1993 with the property with just a few amount of trucks. And then in 2002, if you look at this, see how the gravel got larger? Tom, the Illinois fire extinguisher, they added on to it. Look at how big it got in 2010. He just kept cutting down trees and adding gravel. This is how it currently looks. Once this guy moved in, he just assumed, and he took all this residential land, and this is what he did. He clear cut it.
Okay, wait, just give us a reference for the record of the items that you just referred to.
Okay, they were, if you look,
Pages H through what? Just tell us the pages.
511, page 511 shows what it currently looks like, and you can see.
Just tell us the pages. You don't have to repeat what you think they show us.
Oh, well, it just says, it doesn't have a page 5 of 11, sorry,
And the other 3 pages you referred to?
was, I tore them out, so I put them in order. 1993 is page 10. You go in order, page 10, page 8 gets larger, page 9 gets a little larger, and then finally page 5.
Now you're gonna introduce photographs?
Yes, I'm gonna, so
Your
this is,
exhibits?
this is the plan that you have right there. This is the
Hold on.
residential lot.
If you're gonna introduce exhibits, I wanna have it clear what's being introduced, so.
Okay.
What's your last name again?
Dan Prete, Prete.
Preet's, exhibits, how many do you have? 1, 2,
Well, yeah, I'll just use 2 for right now.
what do you mean for right now?
A sticker?
Yeah, I won't go through any of the rest of this.
Okay, Preet's, group exhibit number 1, which is composed of 2 photographs of the area.
So this is the residential lot right now that they'd like to do this on. This is what it looks like. It's looking like this since he moved in. So he purchased the lot. What are we gonna call this one?
Preet's exhibit, group exhibit 1.
1, 2.
And who took the photos, sir?
I took them,
And when did you take them?
like 2 days ago.
Okay,
So obviously the fire extinguisher place is zoned, M2, Village of Addison. The Village of Addison vacated this street Dickens, which I would argue that half of this Dickens is actually in the Village of Addison. I went there today. So he's asking to do all this, and 50% of the Dickens Road right away, 33% of it is not even in DuPage County. It's in the Village of Addison. The other half, does that make sense? The other half of the road right away is unincorporated Bloomingdale Township. So I would argue that half of his project, 33 feet of his project is not even in DuPage County. It's in the Village of Addison. But anyways, this is what he's done to the residential lot. And I know we've multiple calls. Paul Haas has been working on it. I think there's a Jessica, a Debbie. We know everybody by name at the zoning department.
Not by
This-
face, apparently.
Right, but this is residential lot.
That's Jessica on that ball.
Okay. Hey, we working on this? You just told me today that there's some,
Okay, hold on,
some
hold on.
water. Okay.
Just tell us what are you showing us?
I'm showing you
That's-
residential lots that are
Yeah,
on
I
each
know.
side of his current. So
Okay.
this is what it looks like. This is
Understood.
what he's done. He's
Understood.
clear cut it, he's put gravel down. And so
Understood.
I'm opposed to it because whatever he does, I just can't trust like anything. And I also would argue the fact, I think that he is trying to do this to get out of the
Pictures.
part. You know, I truly think he is trying to do this to get out of the violations. That would be the easiest way. I guess my only other question is he being fined? Paul or Jessica, is he being fined?
No,
for
no,
the-
we're not gonna get into that at the
Okay.
hearing, okay?
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, let's see. This lady was a no, and then are you next or?
I am no.
You're no, and you, sir, want to
No.
make a statement?
I'd like to speak, sir.
Go right ahead.
So my name is Joachim D'Souza. I live in 2 North 530 Kenmore Street, Lombard. I've lived in this area
Spell
for 47 years.
spell your name.
Spell your name.
47 years.
Spell your name.
My name is Joachim, when you spell it, I'm sorry, Joaquim, middle initial M, last name D''S''Ouza. And I've
You
lived in
oppose?
this area for 47 years.
Do you oppose or support?
Can my wife interpret for me? I can't hear too well. I
Oh,
couldn't
I'm
hear
He
you.
sorry.
opposes.
You oppose the petition? Okay,
Yes.
I oppose it.
then make your statement.
Okay. So I've lived here for 47 years. It's a good family neighborhood. All the kids, I have a vacant lot in front of my house, which is 140 by 300 feet. All the kids in all the subdivision that come into my sub area have all played baseball on my lot. My son is 45 years old and he's got a daughter who's 18 years old. And she also played baseball when she came down. She lives in California. And the kids from the neighborhood, they drove their go-karts, their four-wheelers, their three-wheelers. They all had fun playing together. And all the kids in that neighborhood who played on my lot are in their 40s. And my major problem is I'm objecting to this. The lot in front is being sold and bought by another person, and they put stone on their property, so it's high and low. It comes into my neighbor's lot. Her name is Ava Gephardt, and her lot is sloping, and then the water comes into my lot. I can't cut the grass. 35% of my front lot, I can't cut the grass for 2 weeks. When it rains, I cut the grass in my backyard or 3/4 of my property with no problem. And I don't think, I'm totally against this.
Okay,
Thank you very much, sir.
thank you. And that's it. That's everybody that was sworn in wants to testify. All right, so we'll go back to the petitioner for closing remarks, and then I'll set the schedule for this case. Do you have any final remarks?
Just very, very briefly, I'm not gonna re-argue everything, other than the bottom line for us is that we want to improve the property and build it to comply with all the ordinances and stormwater and all the various issues that are involved. So we believe we've shown that this property is suitable for a M2, I mean, for the zoning that we're seeking, the B2, and it is not suitable for residential. It is zoned residential. It's been zoned that way a long time, R4, but it's not appropriate to build a home on this property on Route 453 with the surrounding zoning. And pretty clearly, the type of development that's going to happen here on all along Route 53 up and down, it's going to eventually be manufacturing or business. It's not going to be residential, not ever. So the alternative would be for the property never to be developed and be vacant as it has for more than 30 years. That is not, a reasonable approach under the county ordinances. And so we do respectfully request the rezoning of the property. And then we will be going through the permitting process to comply with all the ordinances, not seeking any variances, not seeking any traffic access to the other properties. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. What's our hearing? I think we can do this in September because the record seems to be complete. So what's the September recommendation?
September 5th. In this record.
All right, here's how this proceeds from here. This board meets to vote on all of the cases that are outstanding, that have come before us and have had public hearings. This record will be complete. So we'll hear this case along with others for our voting session on September 5th at 5:30. That's this September 5th, 2024. And then our recommendation goes forward to the County Development Committee and finally the full county board. That process will probably conclude later in the month of September, according to their schedule. With that, I'll close the hearing well, wait a second. There's no old business, there's no new business, so I can now adjourn the meeting for the, thank you.